Hi there, we're here to get you ready for your first Talk Abroad conversation and the assignment that prepares you for it. You are already in this assignment in the Week 4 module. This is where you find the video. But I want to point your attention to the Prepare Talk Abroad assignment that's towards the end that is due on February 8th. And if we open that up, you'll see that there's some stuff to read. That is about the assignment and its role in the video project. And you'll see in the middle this warning sign and all this stuff highlighted in yellow. And I put this in here because it's not always, these instructions have not always been followed in the past. But to remind you, you're speaking to partners in French-speaking countries. I've listed the countries where conversation partners are available that are French-speaking countries because when you go on the Talk Abroad website, you'll see that you actually have access to conversation partners from throughout the world. But I'm asking you to focus only on French-speaking countries in this class. So over the course of this semester, you're going to be talking to 3 different partners in 3 different French-speaking countries, and you're going to be talking about the same topic, the one that you identified in the assignment that I've linked here for your convenience. So now that we've talked through all of that, to schedule your conversation, I'm kind of going to go out of order here. You have a link here that we'll go to in a minute, but I just want to take a second and show you the assignment that you're completing that helps you to prepare in case you have questions about that. So if we open this up, let me make this a little bit bigger if I can. Not that big. Here we go. Okay, so we just walked through all of those little warnings. So you are going to need to schedule your conversation before you can complete this document, because you'll see in section 1, you list your conversation partner's name, the date and time of the scheduled conversation, what their country is, either where they're living or their country of origin, because in some cases the partners, I know there's at least one partner who's from France who doesn't live in France anymore. Where are they from? French-speaking country originally. And I ask you to list your topic again just so that when I'm reading through this I remember it. The second thing I'd like you to do is to gather some information about your partner's country, just so you're not going into this knowing absolutely nothing about their country. And I've linked a resource here, the CIA World Fact Book, and as you'll see, it is very fact-heavy. Let's see if I can open that. And I'll show you the site in a minute, but you'll notice that for each country, the information there is listed under different headings. Some of the ones that I think might be important for you to know about are geography, people and society, economy, and then I'll also let you browse other information that you think might be relevant to your topic. This is that CIA World Fact Book, and you'll see that you've got an alphabetical list of countries. I'm going to go to the B's, to the first country where a French-speaking partner is, or the first French-speaking country where a partner is available, and that's Benin. If we click on it, sometimes there will be photos. You'll have a map, you'll have a locator map, so you can see that this is a country in sub-Saharan Africa. And I recommend that you read the introduction. That includes some kind of basic facts, and then that you note some of these, some of the things that you learn about, for example, geography. So this is a country in Western Africa. You can look at how big it is. On the map, you could probably see it's a relatively small country compared to what we're used to in the United States. So it gives you some kind of basic information about the country. And I don't, in the assignment, choose what seems to be, to summarize, what seems to be the most pertinent, the most relevant information relative to you and your topic. People and society, this gives you population, and so it may help to contextualize your understanding of the country. If you compare, roughly 15 million people in Benin, we have about 10 million people in Michigan. So doing those kinds of comparisons. Ethnic groups, languages, so French is an official language, but you'll also see that there are many other languages spoken in this country. And if you look at religion, and I think this is often very important to consider because religion can be the driver, the perspectives behind a lot of different cultural practices. So you see that that most people in the country are Muslim, but almost an equal amount are Roman Catholic, Protestant minority, that some practice what we would call voodoo in the United States. And so you'll find out some interesting things in browsing this category, and so forth. The other thing you'll notice if we flip back to this, this document you're going to fill out to prepare is I ask you to browse other information from this source. What else might you be able to learn that's related to your topic? And if this CIA fact book, it is kind of dry, it's fact-based, if it doesn't give you good information, please do some supplemental research so that you feel like, you know, your job is not to become an expert on this topic as it exists in your partner's country. Your partner's going to tell you about that, but it's important that you be prepared with some information so that you're not coming into this completely a complete blank slate about where your partner lives. The third part of this preparation assignment is to formulate some questions that you might be able to ask. So during the conversation, you're going to ask questions. You'll tell your partner about your topic. You could either start by asking questions, or you could tell them, hey, we're going to be talking about car culture or beauty culture or wedding culture, whatever your topic is. And you may want to start off by saying, you know, these are some things we do in the United States, and then asking questions about how that exists or doesn't exist. But I think there will be definitely some Q&A in both directions. So most students find that it's helpful. Often students feel kind of nervous about especially this first conversation, and so being well prepared is important. The thing I want to point out, that I have another little warning sign about, is that just like you in coming into MFL 210, I'm guessing that you probably hadn't heard of this 3 Ps framework for exploring culture: products, practices, and perspectives in the context of thinking about culture. Your partner will not have heard these terms in the same way that we're using them in class either. So instead of framing your questions like don't say what cultural products exist relating to hunting culture. Say instead, you know, what exists. Think of products as the what's, practices as the hows, and perspectives as the whys. So your questions might be, well, do you fish? Do you hunt? What sorts of equipment exists around hunting and fishing? When do you do it? Who does it? So using those kind of journalistic who, what, where, when, why, how questions is a better strategy, and as your partners will probably not know what you're talking about if you use that 3 Ps language. If we scroll down, there's just one final section in this document that you'll upload with this assignment, and that is about AI use. So in this class, feel free to use generative AI tools if that's a part of your practice. For things like brainstorming, clarifying grammar, organizing thoughts. But in this class, these tools cannot replace your own writing, your own analysis, your own interpretation, or your own reflection. So don't use AI to do the thinking work, but if they can help support that thinking work, that's fine. But I do ask, as you'll see here, that if you do use AI, that you include this disclosure, and you can type directly in this document and say which tool was used, what it was used for, and what you learned through using it. Flipping back to the Canvas assignment, you'll see that there's a link. As I mentioned, I sort of went out of order here, but if you click on this TalkAbroad How Do I Schedule a Conversation link, you will find everything that you need to know about scheduling a conversation. There used to be a nice walkthrough video that TalkAbroad provided, but unfortunately they've changed their website, and that's not really valid anymore. But this tells you everything that you need to do to schedule and confirm your conversation, as well as to cancel and reschedule. And a couple things I'd like to point out is that when you schedule, you need to schedule your conversation at least 36 hours in advance. And keep in mind that there will be a reflective assignment that's due The preparation assignment is due on February 8th. It will always be a week later. So you should schedule your conversation sometime the week of the 8th, but with enough time so that you can submit that reflective assignment by the 15th. So you'll need to schedule 36 hours in advance, and if you need to make a change, note that TalkAbroad's cancellation policy requires you to cancel 12 hours before. And if not, you'll see that you'll need to either purchase another credit, but you can also apply for a 50% discount code. So please plan in advance, make sure that you're actually going to be free at the time that your conversation is scheduled, and you've got all the information here to book that conversation. I also want to point out that there are some helpful links here, including some other questions you might have before your conversation, during your conversation, if you have technical problems, if you missed your conversation, there's all sorts of resources available here for you. And then after your conversation, again, if you missed your conversation, what should I do now? I just finished my conversation. I should point out as well that the recording of your conversation is going to be made available to you after you complete your conversation, and for most students, they will need to listen back to that in order to complete the reflective assignment that we'll be talking about soon. Finally, I'd like to show you just a very, very brief clip that shows you what your conversation experience will look like.
All the partners receive extensive training and are extremely engaging and patient. You may be nervous going into your first conversation, but rest assured, your partner can't wait to get to know you and will make the conversation enjoyable.